You guys are haters, dividers, and liars. Sí se puede con Donald Trump.
Yes.
Sí se puede con Donald Trump. Sin vergüenza. Gente. Sin vergüenza. You guys did not even vote.
They don't even have one American flag on the other side.
Where are the American flags? Where are the American flags, people? Democrat. Really?
We love Donald Trump!
We love Donald Trump!
We love Donald Trump!
KKK! ¿Te diga algo?
No, no, thank you.
I mean, no, I'm not saying you. I'm saying like the fact, like,
Once again, you're generalizing. How do you know?
because
with the biggest military, bigger than the next like four more
it's bigger than China. It's bigger than the others.
combined.
Yes.
Russia.
I agree.
Russia is tiny.
I know,
But,
I agree with
but
you.
it's a big threat.
Yes, they are.
It's all propaganda. We live in an empire.
No, I do not.
We've been at war since basically like World War II.
Okay, so you hold Obama accountable too?
Of course.
Good, okay.
He's horrible too.
Okay. So
It's not
are
Democrats.
you suggesting that Trump has been at war all the time
He
from the general?
inherited
Okay.
America's wars.
How
He
was-
said in
okay.
his campaign that he was interventionalist.
Okay.
What did he do yesterday? He intervened. He fucking dropped
Okay.
59 Tomahawk missiles.
55,
innocent
right?
and innocent or not, people died. So
No, people did
this
not die
isn't-
from that bombing. No, they did not.
how do you know? Yes,
We
six
have-
people were reportedly killed in
We
that
have
bombing.
no reports of
No
those
reports.
bombings.
Obviously,
exactly.
you haven't listened to the reports.
Okay, I disagree
Where do you
with
get
that.
your news?
And furthermore, I'm going from the New York Times, went to Politico, went to others. You were going to think I was going to say Breitbart. I didn't.
No, I didn't think that.
Okay, good. I
But
appreciate that.
those, just like any other gigantic fucking news outlet, they're not
So
gonna
what's your
report
solution?
everything.
I should listen to that. What would be your solution to this whole
Okay, you
mess?
want to hear
'Cause
my
it sucks.
solution from someone who is not experienced in any of these things. I'm not a politician. I'm 23 years old. I'm a college student. But
Good.
I can see through these wars. Because you know who
Okay.
profits from these wars? It's fucking war profiteers and huge arm companies, fucking Lockheed Martin, all those fucking companies
Okay.
that Trump said he was going to drain swamp and get them
He's
all
already
out.
draining the swamp.
By fucking getting in more, like Steve Bannon,
He's
he was
alive.
a fucking,
No, he's not.
used to, yeah, Steve Bannon, well,
Steve
he's
Bannon
out
is
now.
still working in the White House.
Exactly, and who did he used to work for?
Who? You tell me what's your
Goldman
concern.
Sachs.
No, you didn't. If you can demonstrate
Jesus.
that to me, that's fine. If I'm wrong,
Look
that's
it
fine.
up. Look it
But,
up.
but wait a minute. You know Hillary Clinton was taking huge donations.
Fuck
from-
Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, you hate her too.
She's irrelevant.
She's evil.
You're supposed to hold your president
I
accountable.
am holding him
You want to hear my
accountable.
solution? We don't
I don't
take
support
military
terrorists, for example.
aggression. We don't take military aggression.
I disagree.
Instead, we work to solve the problems in the
Okay.
Middle East
But
and
wait
all
a
the
minute.
violence by not
Okay.
funding terrorist organizations.
Okay, but what do we do when we have an international actor which is using nerve gas, and we've had a president for 8 years which has routinely said and done nothing, while we have these terrible malefactors doing evil things throughout the Middle East? The instability there does affect us. We have had terrorist attacks in this country, and we have to send a clear message around the world that we're going to
Syrians?
protect. Absolutely,
And
they're
then,
part of
and
it.
then we say that they can't come here after we start bombing their country. It doesn't make sense.
We're not bombing the entire country. We blew out that airfield. Why do you not understand
And you
that?
don't think things
It was
will
a
escalate.
targeted
You
attack.
don't think things will escalate. The
I
path
don't want them to
you're
escalate.
going-
I agree with you.
The path you're going
I'm not
down,
on a path. I'm
the
standing in
path
this
your
country.
president is going down, your representative is going down a path of war. This is a path of no war and finding alternative means. Instead of bombs dropping, we drop aid and we drop education and all sorts of fucking shit that is positive, not more violence.
Okay, so do you think that dropping education, aid, or these supplies you're suggesting, is that going to stop Al Qaeda? Is that going to stop ISIS? Is that going to stop
Eventually,
Assad?
yes, because it empowers democratic governments. It empowers them to fight those groups.
Okay,
But when you
I'm taking
attack
it-
those democratic governments, like Iraq, and you and you completely
So
flip
keep
the
an eye on my
country.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
You flip
Okay,
the
here's the
country
thing.
upside down.
When
Those terrorist
you have books and
organizations
education.
thrive.
Okay, but
They
you have
thrive.
you have to have books and education is important. I agree with you.
Yes.
But when you've got a gun pointed in your face under the Assad regime or Al Qaeda or ISIS, you have to fight back.
You know who has a gun pointed at a bunch of different countries' faces is the U.S.
Okay, how?
Do you know how many bases we have? We have a base on
I know we have a lot.
every single continent.
That doesn't mean we have a gun in
We have
their
a
face.
base in basically every country. There's
But that
probably
doesn't
like
mean
one or
we have
two.
a gun in their face. We don't have a gun in the face of Germany. We don't have a gun in the face of Canada.
Yeah,
we don't have a
because
gun
they're
in the
also
face of Korea.
capitalistic societies,
That's
and
a good
they're
thing.
benefiting from the same system.
Capitalism
too.
is a
so
wonderful
they're working
thing.
together.
Free markets
but,
are good. Hi. Are you a
but-
green guy too, or just a reporter?
Oh, no, I'm not even a reporter. I'm just here.
Okay, that's fine. We have to have military
But as
action once in a
as
while.
soon as a country or people disagree with
Careful.
what America's doing, like Cuba, they fucking label them terrorists, they label them all this shit, and they go in and attack
Okay,
them.
so you're saying Cuba is labeled a terrorist because they criticize the
I'm
United
not.
States?
What? No, I'm saying that
Okay.
they've been labeled that in the past. They've been labeled communists. They've been.
They are communists. It is a communist regime.
And guess what? You know how much crime is going on there? There's like barely any crime.
You want to
know
know
there's
why? Because
mortality
people
rate
are
there?
routinely locked up. They have no liberties. I know Cubans who fled that country. Okay,
Oh,
they
yeah.
hated it. It
and
was.
they speak for all Cubans.
I bet they do.
They don't.
And you
No,
want
they
to know
don't.
why a lot of Cubans don't complain? Because if they spoke out against the Castro regime, they'd be silenced, they'd be in prison. You know what they did to Jews? Do you know what they did to gays? You know what they did to the Castro regime? Locked them up, man. Come on, wake up.
We do that
Communism
here.
is destructive. No, we
no,
don't.
no, no,
We
no.
do not lock up Jews. And we do not lock up homosexuals.
Okay, yeah, based on those things, no, but for different reasons.
Small-time American nonviolent offenses.
Okay, but I'm talking about communism and why it's bad. Now, I agree with
I don't
you.
think
We
you
shouldn't lock up
understand
people for the ounce of
communism.
marijuana. I support decriminalizing, by the way, but I want to stick to this.
I don't think
It's
you
a
understand
communistic country, dude, and they attack their own people.
You know their biggest export instead of us?
Oh, nice.
Instead of us exporting
Oh,
weapons,
did you say thank you?
being the biggest exporter of weapons, they're
Okay.
the biggest exporter of doctors.
Who?
Cuba.
You want to know why? They're fleeing. Because they can't do good
No,
medicine
they're
there.
not,
Yes,
because
they
They make
are.
Cubans
they
doctors
in-
make only $5 a day. Did you know that?
That's right.
Yeah.
Where are
know
you
that?
getting
Did
your
you know that?
information
Well, yeah,
from? I'm
it's-
kind of fascinated by
That's
that.
a fact.
It doesn't matter
That's
how
a
much
fact.
they make,
They
rather
make
than
Yes, it
only
does.
$5. Yes, it does.
A doctor should be
That's
well
why
paid.
they want to leave Cuba because they
But
don't
if
make
it's
any
a
money.
communist country, everyone contributes.
No, they don't.
They
They're
all
forced.
contribute.
No, you
They're
don't, because
forced.
you don't own the cows, you don't own the homes.
Total communism has not worked. We've seen that.
It'll never work.
It will never work.
Capitalism, you have to admit, in some ways, is unjust. Is it
Why?
right that someone should go bankrupt and not having health care when they need it?
Just a sec here. What's your name? Ethan. Okay. Man, just to give some context. Are
I'm
you like
keeping
a
an
green
eye on your
supporter
back.
or a communist?
I would identify as
An American.
liberal.
Liberal. Okay. So capitalism, let's talk about free markets. Why we see quote unquote failures of government intervention. Like for example, Enron needs to go bust. You know why they were cheating? Government regulation allowed them to cheat. That's the first
I
thing.
think it's the opposite.
Wrong.
It's the complete opposite.
Okay, let me finish this.
We've had no regulation before. That was in the 1900s, early 1900s.
Okay.
And we ended up with monopolies that were not good for
That's
anyone.
actually not true. The Sherman Antitrust Act was actually designed to help large corporations get larger, and smaller corporations ended up closing down.
Where do you get that information from? Because the Sherman Antitrust Act was used to break up 5 different monopolies. It broke up Standard Oil into like 19
No, it didn't actually.
companies. They all reformed eventually, but that's due.
That's my point.
That's due to the weakness of our politicians and not to the weakness of the
I
act
disagree.
itself.
If you want to have great competition, you do not rescue a company. You don't create laws that prevent competition. And what happened with Standard Oil, for example, you had other. Now, Standard Oil, by the way, did a really good service. Let me explain. I know you might disagree. They were able to drive down the cost of kerosene from $10 to $4. Poor people were able to get candles. They were able to have energy sources. They were able to read. They couldn't do that
So
before.
you're using all of this as a justification
Okay.
to eliminate regulations. The elimination
I
of
don't.
government regulations or companies, the regulation of corporations,
Okay.
is that we suffer. They make all this profit off the work of us, and
Okay.
they promote like deunionization. They tell their workers not to work, and just in this system,
Okay.
we
I-
suffer.
okay.
People that can't own those corporations, people like you who work 5 days a week,
Okay.
they don't see the benefits from their government
Man,
because
okay.
that government
Sorry, keep
is
interrupting.
allocating those resources into shit that doesn't matter, like fucking bombs.
Okay.
Tons and tons of bombs and nuclear programs. We don't need that stuff.
Can I respond?
And also
Let me know when I can
oil.
respond.
Oil. They're gonna fucking plunder our great, beautiful country without government regulations.
Okay, I want to respond and say, okay, free markets don't mean no rules at all. So if I said that message, it's wrong. We have to have enforcement of contract. We also have to have criminal prosecution,
Yes.
and we should have a sound monetary policy.
Absolutely.
So you agree with me?
Absolutely.
Okay, so when I'm talking about like corporate intervention or government intervention, that means like corporate welfare. I absolutely hated the TARP bailouts. No corporation should get a bailout. If you play fast and loose, you should close down. No
Absolutely.
bailout. So you agree with me?
Yes.
I also believe and I studied this. It was from a book called The Rise of Conservatism, actually. I don't remember the title exactly, but the Sherman Antitrust Act was designed in a way to protect large corporations and eliminate competition. If we allow the free market to flow, if we allow invention and innovation to multiply, guess what? It creates more competition. Governments are the ones that prop up monopolies, like the sugar. There's a sugar subsidy.
If you have all this competition, it's going to make you work harder. You're going to want to work harder. Oh, I got to beat all these people. So
Yeah, it works.
It doesn't work.
That's how
it
I have a
works
camera.
For huge
That's how I have
companies.
a battery. These innovations make it happen.
Yeah, but those companies hoard the money. It's like it
Okay.
can go back to us with government regulation.
Okay.
They pay their share of taxes, just like me and
Okay.
just like you.
Okay, and you're right. I pay my fair share, and
don't
Donald
you
Trump
agree
does too.
That big companies
Don-
should too.
let me finish.
And Donald Trump.
Donald Trump paid a higher tax rate than Obama and Bernie Sanders. Did you know that?
Yes, yeah.
Well,
Yes,
because
he
he
did.
makes more money.
Okay, but we're talking about a rate, not just an amount. Okay, he was 28%. Now, so that's true.
Well, the way that the tax system is structured, if you have a
No one's watching.
you fall into a higher
Only two people.
That's right.
And you've been on.
And that's the law, and Donald Trump complied. Okay, now I want to
But-
go to
but
something.
then why is he trying
I
to-
gotta
why is he
respond to
trying
this.
to end that then?
But I got to respond to something. Okay, when you said that corporations are greedy and hold on to their money, you have a job, you earn money, right? Would you like someone to just arbitrarily say, "I want 70% of your paycheck"?
Absolutely not, and that's what the Department of Labor is for, is to protect
Okay,
us. So why would we
but let me finish.
dismantle
But
that
let me
department?
finish. Now
Or-
let me finish.
or
Now, if
full
I'm a
funding
business, let
from
me
that department.
finish. If I'm a business
Well, I was
owner,
talking.
if I'm a business owner, or if I'm a corporation with my own blood, sweat, and tears, my family, the people I've hired, I make a lot of money. Why is it that it's okay to take 70% of my money?
Well,
It's not okay.
That argument
You
is-
agree with
that-
me?
that-
But
Okay,
you
okay,
should
okay.
pay just as much as everyone else.
That argument is inherently like.
7 minutes more. Or you're going to stay?
Well, I'm going to stay because these guys are willing to talk to me, and if they're willing to. I hope you don't see it as condescending, but I'm informing you to try to have a bigger picture, because I feel like I hear a lot of things that are not the case or that need to be challenged. When you say like a business, like if I'm a millionaire, why is it? It's not wrong for me to have money, right?
Well,
And
no,
what
no,
is it?
no,
Okay,
I
yes.
wasn't talking about that. I was saying the argument that you shouldn't pay that much taxes, like 70%. Like,
Yeah, what's-
that really denies the fact that while you were able to get to success, not everyone in society.
That's not
was
true.
able to.
In this country, it is the most egalitarian. But go ahead.
People, no, it's okay. Actually, I found probably the most reasonable conservative we talked to recently. Anyways, so
Even if I have a Trump hat on, I get so much guff for that. But go ahead.
people stop believing. Anyways, it's just like that argument is inherently selfish. You're not thinking about the other people's
Okay.
needs. The foundation of conservatism is that government is not good, and there's no trust in the government as conservative.
Could I speak to that really quick? I want to qualify. Government is instituted among men. This is from the Declaration of Independence to protect our rights. So it has a role. I'm not an anarchist.
No, yes,
Okay,
I understand.
Okay, good.
But and then the problem with there's too much trust in government. But
That's
the thing
true.
is,
I agree with you on that.
even though government
And
is
you agree with me
inefficient,
too, I think.
it works to help other people. Your taxes go
Okay.
toward education, infrastructure,
Okay.
social services that are needed for people who have fallen, whatever their circumstance, into the category of needing handouts, which is like something that conservatives are really against for some reason.
Okay, so let's talk about public education. Okay, we have tax dollars that I think should follow the student and not just the zip code. Look at the state of public education, starting with Illinois Unified. It's inherently corrupt. You've got a bloated bureaucracy. There are more administrators and directors, and I used to work at Illinois Unified. I saw this with my own eyes. There were inspectors general, 66, getting six-figure salaries. The money wasn't going to the classroom. There's no engine of accountability. Competition creates that engine. I'm pro-free market. I'm not pro-business. Being pro-business means that you help that company make money, but not that one. I'm totally not for that. Businesses need to fight for your money. That's the way it should be. They should compete for your dollars. That's what I'm all about. And it should be for schools.
But for education, it's like risky game. I charter schools are like one of the gray areas. It's like private companies have been known. There have been multiple accounts of charter schools who did not follow the regulations.
So you're still recording.
And
Good.
when they were evaluated, they were forced to shut down.
The charter schools,
Yeah,
right?
any student who went there got their whole thing invalidated. Is that
Okay.
something we should risk on business?
Now, this is my answer. Okay.
Whose primary goal, even with all the ethics and all the competition, is to meet their bottom line.
Okay, this is my response to that. Notice how those charters were shut down. How many traditional schools are failing our kids and they do not get shut down? They should be shut down too. They should be held to the same standard.
No,
That's the first thing.
they should be invested in.
Okay, so now here's my response to that. We have had these schools massively. We spend more money on our kids. Washington, D.C. You can look at it as a study. You got the charter schools, which have little money. Private schools get even less. And then you've got the government public schools, right? Where do you find the highest scores? Where do you find the best education? The private schools and the charters.
Well, some would
Competition, accountability. That's why. All the money in the world has not fixed. You can look at the Rand Corporation has studied this. The same amount of, they've increased the money exponentially, but the level of learning has flatlined. It doesn't change. It's not the money. It's how it's spent. It's the accountability.
I would blame it on two things: the culture and the people who go to those schools. Let's say
The culture, tell me about that. That's a great answer.
I'll give you an example of my school.
Let's talk about culture, right?
My brother went to Uni High School, which is a completely government-funded
Uni,
high school.
where's that? In
That's
Irvine?
University High School. That's in Westwood. Anyways, so
I know about that, yeah.
He went there. Said it was a terrible school. My mom didn't want me to go there. I
Really?
went to Palisades Charter High School. It's a great school.
It's a charter.
But there are two important differences that make up the divide or whatever. One, the culture. My brother saw that at his school. There were very few people who really saw education as something that could benefit them. They were just there. Okay, that I wouldn't blame that on the faculty. You can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Okay, so it's a
And
culture
then-
issue? Okay.
It's a culture issue. And then Palisades High School, most of the students there are white. They live in that surrounding area. Their parents are all wealthy. Their parents realize the value of education. That's something instilled in them.
Okay.
And they have access. They're usually wealthy enough to access resources that give them better position in life.
Okay.
They have access to extracurricular programs that they can pay for, tutoring programs. Some of the best ones that are located in the area.
You're talking about they can afford it, right? They have the money to do it?
They have the money to
Okay, let me ask you a question then. Which do you think came first? The money that these families possess or the values that they have? Which came first?
the values.
Right, so they make decisions that help them to accrue wealth. Do you think that that ability to develop those skills is not possible for someone of Hispanic or African American descent? Or
It is possible.
everybody can have it, right? Let me tell you how to do it. It's very easy. There are 3 things you do if you want to make it in this life. Graduate from high school, get a job, any job, and don't have a kid until you're married. Those are very simple. I have friends of mine, they've admitted to me, they had a kid at 16.
Do you support
Just let me finish. Okay, they had a kid at 16. It really threw them off. Now they're getting back on track. And they admitted to me, these are choices that anybody can make. I worked at Lisinger High as a sub, and culture, it's about valuing education. So you're making my case in a sense. It's not the amount of money, but it's not the amount of money or the amount of government intervention. It's about choices and respecting those values. Would you agree?
would agree.
So,
But I'm not sure you've convinced me that private schools and charter schools are the answer.
what the answer is a choice and accountability. And think about this. I'm a parent. I may be the poorest of the poor. I used to work in a charter school. And I'm a parent, and I want my kids. See, I'm making choices. I want my kid to go to the best school. And that school has accountability because they want to make sure they have the best kids, the ones that are going to comply with the rules. That's what I mean. That's all. You know, it's not about whether they're dumb or stupid. Ben Chavis was at the Indian charter schools in Oakland. Oakland is as ghetto as it gets, as impoverished as it gets. Ben Chavis said, you give me any knucklehead and I'll make him a superstar. He did. There was discipline and accountability. They weren't rich kids. This is Oakland, my man.
Yeah.
And those kids were beyond stellar. Thomas Sowell, African American, in the South, when segregation was rife. I mean, you're black, you sit in the back. Sorry, that's what it was. This man went to a segregated school in D.C.